YG with their third pickup now. We'll go for the Earth Spirit, who was unchanged, which is, I suppose, good news for the Earth Spirit players out there, because, it's always very scary when you see ES in the patch notes. So YG, they'll go ahead and pick that one up. Going back to what we were trying to say earlier before we headed to a break, Motivate.Trust, they did end up deciding to stick together. I believe some of their players did receive offers from different teams to come over and join another team, but they did decide in the end to just stick together. As I believe I don't know the exact phrasing, but they were saying something about how potent they were before they kind of split up, with Masaros going to Fnatic, and then you had Jackie going to T1. And then they eventually came back and, arguably didn't look quite as strong as they used to. So I think what they were trying to say is they want to rectify that by going back to the good old days, per se, where they were just kind of on a rampage and they were just unstoppable. I suppose it will take some time, but they might be able to get back to that stage.
Yeah, for sure. I think there is a benefit to staying together as a team for such a long time. And as you mentioned, they went through that one time as well where they did split up and it didn't work out. So I think they figure we just keep working together. We keep improving as a team. They know each other's ins and outs very intimately now, as their play styles, how to coordinate, what timings they want to hit, where their shortcomings fall. And that is beneficial. Do you see the rest of the draft coming through here from Motivate.Trust? They take the Undying and Puck. Likely our Fearless Puck mid. The Undying should be our hard support now, with a Weaver 4 perhaps coming out. So there is a bit of concern here for Motivate.Trust. Their best hold is Dream Coil Spear Break.
Right.
And outside of that, they don't really have stuns. But what they do have is Insane Teamfight. They've got Arena, Dream Coil, they've got Tombstone to drop on high ground. Now, YG does have ways of dealing with the Tombstone. With the Vengeful Spirit, Wave of Terror up to get some vision, you can get some hits in, and you even get the Storm to play around with the fact that your control on Motivate.Trust isn't really there. So the Storm's going to have a lot of leeway in zipping in and out, reaching into the back line, clearing out the Undying before Tombstones drop perhaps, or just locking into Weaver, preventing him from getting the time-lapse off, and that can make the game plan for Motivate.Trust a lot harder to pull off. I worry about that lack of control. There could be a very wild card aspect of an Undying one for Jackie, but we've never seen him do it, at least in the games we've casted ourselves. He hasn't done it. I don't think it really fits Jackie's playstyle to go for the pause one Undying, so I think they're just going to have to find some way of getting a little bit more control here to handle that Storm.
No, I'd certainly agree with that sentiment, John. I don't think Jackie's a pause one Undying player, but I mean, you never know, he could be practicing. I was having a quick look at his pub history before we kind of started casting, and he's still playing a lot of Medusa, playing a lot of Lifestealer. I think he's been trying out the Troll Warlord. Not playing too much of that, but it has been mostly Medusa Lifestealer, at least in pubs. See if he does change it up here. I mean, he is a very kind of versatile pos one, so I'm sure he'll be more than happy to switch it up. And I mean, quite frankly, in this game against the Monkey King, if we automatically assume it's a position 1 Monkey King, which I think it might be, you probably don't want to go into the Lifestealer pickup. Even though against everybody else on the side of Yangon, it does seem kind of nice having that inbuilt rage available. Just we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's not guaranteed it's a pos 1 Monkey, but do you really want to run it in the support role again? Like, it does feel substantially weaker with those cooldown increases at the early levels.
Yeah, it can be harder to be aggressive. I still feel like the value and the scouting is really good, and they do go with a Spectre here, so that does give Motivate.Trust a good sort of timing window with a Spectre to play early on. Once the Axe is up, you can just keep playing with the Step and just keep hunting down the softer targets, maybe getting a jump on the Venge. Earth Spirit could be a good target to jump as well, and play with the mobility of the Puck. So you've got good follow-up for the Shadow Step going through from the Spectre. Your lane should be alright. I think right now they might be expecting the Vengeful Spirit off lane.
Whoa.
Earth Spirit, which is not... Okay, never mind. It's going to be the Necrophos off lane, which counteracts that Spectre, and now Jackie's got a very tough game in line. I mean, they still have that timing to play with a Spectre, but you're dealing with Necrophos lane. It's not going to be fun. The Reaper's Sight will always pin you down. You are pretty much the biggest target for the site. And the Spectre still does nothing to kind of fix your issue with the Storm Spirit. So I think YG, they've got a lot of, again, leeway to get that Storm up and running. They've got the answers with their draft. I think Motivate.Trust has to be pretty careful in this game. Maybe they can just bank on the Spectre scaling late game, But the Necrophos is just such a good answer to Spectre.
It certainly is. It does feel a little bit reactionary against Motivate. Like, we've seen this before as well, where you do tend to, like, newer teams or younger teams tend to react more during the draft rather than kind of drafting what they actually want to play. So I'm wondering whether that's going to affect YG here in this game one. I'd say they are the underdogs going against Motivate.Trust, but I suppose you never know. We'll find out very soon. But John, in your mind, who came out with a superior draft?
I'd say YG. I think the Storm's just going to have a really good time. The Necrophos is a really great answer to Spectre. The Monkey King 1 scales very well into late game and kind of counteracts what the Spectre wants to do. Like when Wukong's is dropped, there's so much armor in the Monkey King that he's going to be able to last through a direct duel. Your damage here on Motivate.Trust magically isn't that big until the puck gets like a Dagon. So the Monkey King's just going to be very safe in the Wukongs. And again, you don't have an easy way of bringing the Monkey King out of Wukong's outside of Spear. Even then, that's not very easy to land on a Monkey King in the middle of Wukong. So there's a lot of ways for YG to pull off their draft, whereas for Motivate, it's very specific. They have to keep trying to play for pickoffs. They have to give Jackie as much space as possible. And it's just not an easy matchup heroes-wise for them.
Okay, fair enough. We'll get into a game number one between Motivate.Trust and YG. This one pans out. Of course, both teams obviously looking to get a pretty strong start going for their group stage. I do kind of agree with the sentiment as well, John. I do think they've got the answers for Motivate. I just worry for YG against a very strong team like Motivate. The draft may not matter so much. Have to wait and see. Going back to the Spectre, by the way, John, got nerfed today. Shadow Step now an extra 10 seconds on the cooldown, so it went from 30 to 40. And I was very surprised by that. I think Shadow Step's still way too broken of an ability. I don't think the 10 seconds really means too much.
I think it means a lot. Like, if you think about that, if you split that Shadow Step into mini haunts, right? So you count 5 uses of Shadow Step equals to a haunt. At 30 seconds, that was 150 seconds for one free haunt. Now it's 200 seconds. Longer than even base level 1 haunt. So it takes a lot longer to keep jumping out. And that hurts the tempo for Spectre. Hurts the flash hero farming you used to do with the Ags pickup and can kind of slow down the pace a lot more. So I think it throws the tempo of that Ag Spectre rush off a bit, and that can hurt its scaling into the late game.
Okay, fair enough. See how it does pan out. Bounty runes are being fought for up at the top lane. Zorain does manage to pick it up, but a spear not going to land on the tree. So unfortunate for Masaros, but Set0 is still in the chase. Boundless Strike going to slow them down, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough, as Q should eventually have enough damage. Zorain still trying his absolute best to get out of there, but Set0 able to secure the kill on the Undying. That beautiful bonus gold for himself, and of course it wouldn't be an SCA series without a quick pause out at the start of the game, so Zorain maybe just taking some time to pick up the keycaps off the floor after smashing the keyboard. Just gonna need a quick pause out, but yeah, that Venge, John, he did commit quite a bit to try and survive that, and unfortunately for him, just doesn't make it out.
Yeah, I had to pop a Fairy Fire, I believe that. I saw that used up, a Tango Charge, so you're going to be down just a bit going back into lane. That did force quite a deep chase. You've got a free start for your lane, at least going into it, and that should help the side lanes kind of group up. Gonna take a look at mid first, though. Young PH on that Storm, up against Fearless on the puck. Fearless, his puck is mean, but he also loves the Storm, so I think he should be able to read this matchup fairly well. As a Storm Spirit, we have seen Storms kind of bully out pucks, just using the Static Remnant, using the Overload, hitting the Vortex timing, playing aggressive with dragging that puck back in, and looking for kill potential, so there is some potential there.
Lun's gone, John, and I think Motivate.Trust, they know how to play this matchup very well. This is where I was kind of worrying about YG and reacting to Motivate, because they're going to know how to deal with this Necrophos, and the one way to deal with this hero is just dominate throughout the initial levels for the Necro. So up until you hit that level 5 mark, it's just so weak.
Yeah, I think that's one issue you have when you go for a pull like that. You can't really leave Necrophos alone level 1. Even level 2 can be a bit dicey. You kind of want it to hit level 3 before looking to play a bit greedier in the lane. Skill A just wanted to try to build up to level 2 fast. Does get punished for it. Oh?
Jackie, thank you very much for that. Takes a free courier for himself. believe Skill A did get all his items off the courier, luckily, so he at least gets that going for him, but as a Spectre, you're going to appreciate any kind of bonus gold you can get, as now they make the jump into set 0. He doesn't have decay for another 5, but they aren't going to have the damage to take him out. It's one of the things with the Undying. Very, very hard to kill off during the laning stage unless he kills himself. We'll have to leave him be for now.
This is an interesting shakeup for Motivate.Trust, right? Like, beforehand, they used to talk about their early game, their laning phase being their weakest aspect. So far, they're being a bit more aggressive with a Spectre lane, which is not a naturally aggressive lane with most matchups. They're holding their own, they're building up in the bot lane, so it's good news. I think for the side of YG, they just need to get these levels running on the Earth Spirit and Necrophos. They need level 3 in both of these heroes fast. That's where it starts to feel a little bit greedy with this kind of duel. But as long as they get patient here, it should be fine.
Verify going to save the life of Fearless, but young PH, he's getting very aggressive now in this Storm. Even just at that level 4 mark, really abusing the amount of damage he has with the Static Remnant. And in the meantime, top lane, Hal, able to pick up his first kill of the game on the Monkey. They do manage to pick off Q. Masaros, he'll be just fine, but Hal, he'll be happy with the bonus damage, or rather bonus gold he does get.
Yeah, and this is where the duo of Motivate.Trust kind of reflects the same issues YG has in their own offlane. Like, Mars and Weaver is just not an amazing duo. Like, you've got the Swarm to amp up some of the physical output of the Mars. Oh.
I think Jackie messed up a little bit there, John. He went back assuming the TP was going to finish, and it was actually a longer TP. I think he might have had one more right click in him.
Ooh. Would have been a nice kill to pick up. Don't think you mind too much, though. Like, you are forcing Lund to commit a lot of regen to stay in the lane. He's had to pop a couple of salves now to just keep up. He does hit level 3, though, so he's got a little bit more coming through from the Death Pulse. It can be harder for Jackie to just come in for the CS. So this might be the point where the Necro starts to stabilize that lane.
Nice pick up top lane. They end up getting the Venge, and now how he's going to try and fight back with this Boundless and Jingu. Will eventually pop it and get his full HP back. Still doing a great job at that top lane of this Monkey King anyway. Meanwhile, mid lane, Fearless able to pick up the kill onto young PH. Having a very tough laning stage initially here for Fearless, but eventually does manage to turn it around and now should be able to gain a decent advantage on this part.
Yeah, and the confidence from Motivate.Trust is showing true. Like, these matchups aren't easy, even the mid. We saw that early movement out from young PH to try to find that kill. That's something Storm can do against the puck. Now you've got the level advantage on the puck. You've got Dream Coil to protect. Young PH is inching towards 6, but still half a level away. And that's more time for Fearless to put his body forward, maybe look for an aggressive play if he wants to. And Motivate.Trust just finding everything in their lanes. Like, bot lanes doing good for Jackie, not being fully bullied out by the Necrophos. Set0 doing a great job of putting his body forward. And as long as they kind of get that pace with the Spectre and keep Hao down just a bit more with the aggression up top, then you can kind of set the pace for this game and just slowly build into that Ags timing for the Spectre that you might want to go for anyway.
Looks like it's young PH's turn, John, after that solo pick off by Fearless. He's not too happy about that, and Fearless has hit the level 6 mark a little bit earlier here than young PH. Young PH just needs one creep, might just stick around for the range creep, but needs to be very wary of that Dream Coil availability. Because I think even with the deny on the range creep, he'll still hit level 6 anyway. So should be able to get out just fine, but we'll have to wait and see. The top lane, you look at Masaros, having a great old time on the Mars. Hao, though, is still keeping up quite nicely on the Monkey King, and I think that's a very important point to make. With the draft of YG, you aren't looking to sit back too long. You are still against the Spectre. You don't want to drag it out into the ultra late game. I'm sure Hao will want to get rather aggressive as soon as he possibly can.
Yeah, just wants to be able to hit maybe initial boots, Echo Saber if he wants to, and start running from there. They, again, have really good synergy with the Mind's Armor. Oh, how? Oh,
does end up finding a kill. Q can end up going down. They're going to lose Zorain, though. Meanwhile, Lund goes down bot lane, and it looks like they might still... Oh, no. Oh, that is just unfortunate. He mistimes the coil break. He might have made it out. had he not got stunned a second time.
Yeah, that was just a bit tight there for YG. They managed to, find a couple of supports in exchange, but it still works out Motivate.Trust's way. The cores are finding kills. They're staying alive from these dives, and they're building up a network lead. 1k for Motivate.Trust. Not massive by any means, 8-3, but it is a really good start, considering that, again, you've got a Spectre laying down bot. That should be more passive, but YG aren't really able to pressure Jackie as much, even with the Necrophos pick. So it's good news overall for Motivate.Trust as they start to hit this early timing now with levels up and running, and that's something for YG to be a bit scared of. Like, the comparison of Storm to Puck, the timings there are a lot faster for Puck. The Storm, he's going to need maybe a Kaya, maybe a Yules, depending on what he feels. It takes a lot longer for the Storm to really be aggressive with items, and the Puck doesn't need much. Fearless already getting some good rotations out, working on the Veil. So they are focusing on just grouping up and getting some early damage off.
Yeah, Lun, he can't catch a break. He's going to pop the Ghost form. They may not go for this dive, or maybe they will. Jackie, he's still thinking about it. You haven't got that level 6 yet. The Soul Rip will not prove to be enough. So Lun does get himself out of there. Skill Lay will have to stick around on the Earth Spirit. Just trying to heal Lun up. And maybe they could try to turn if you have a rotation coming in from Young PH. In fact, you've got one from Zorain right now. I'll spot out Q, but the Weaver's going to be rather difficult to catch. And in the end, I think they might just bring 3 heroes here just to ensure Lun can actually secure some farmer.
Yeah, you do want this Necrophos to hit an early tank item. Looks like it's going to be the Hood of Defiance here for Lun, although...
Rolls way off the mark, but they've got the Reaper Scythe available. Still, Hill's coming in. It's not going to be enough Jackie. He will eventually die. They won't quite get the Reaper Scythe kill, but I think just killing off Jackie is very good news right now for YG.
Yeah, it's a good way to try to balance out that lane. Unfortunately, you don't get that longer cooldown or longer respawn timer. So Jackie's going to be back up relatively soon, and this could line up with a smoke rotation.
That it could. Young PH going to try and back out. Fearless gets a nice coil off. He's kind of stuck right now as Jackie. Warhorned in. He wants to try and get out of this, but there's just no way. They've got so much control just in Puck pick from Fearless. Jackie gets a kill. Right back down to the bot lane. Back to farming.
Yeah, and that's where, you might have been happier if you got the Reaper Scythe kill, because that added time meant that Spectre Haunt wasn't there. Your Storm could have maybe lived through with a lack of damage. Maybe your supports would come and save. Maybe. It just opened up more avenues for Motivate.Trust and not having to deal with that. Now, they're starting to clump up top. How?
Yeah, gets caught in the arena, but Masteros, he doesn't actually have the mana to throw the spear out, so bit of a misplay there from Masteros, not doing his math correctly. And in the meantime, Jackie's going to get jumped down at the bot lane. Great rotations out from Young PH. And he does manage to take advantage of the fact that Motivate made their way up top. They're still going to try and go after this Monkey King, but Hal, he's being rather sneaky. Masteros now might need to run as he makes the chase down. Hal, roll off the mark, but it won't matter how. He's able to pick up the kill, but now Fearless is going to make the jump in. But he will not have the follow-up damage. In fact, now they've got a secondary kill onto set 0, I believe, as the roll will connect perfectly. And now the Magnetize comes out. Maybe they go for another. Dream Coil going to be forced out. Fearless, he's been stunned up, just trying to secure the kill onto the Earth Spirit. He is not going to find it. In fact, Skill Lay gets the Urn Charge as well as another Magnetizing Q. He tried to come in, but Skill Lay, he reads the movement.
Yeah, and I feel like we've seen this from Motivate.Trust a couple of times, right? Where they win the laning phase early on, they start to play really aggressive, but the aggression doesn't line up. I believe we've seen this from a couple of your games before.
Yep.
Looks like it might be happening again, so it could be time to tone down the aggression, play around your Haunt timing, and just kind of take it from there. You also can't expect to leave your Spectre alone and have it be safe. YG can punish that when they see commitment elsewhere. They've got to drag back the aggression a bit, get some more gold going, get some more EXP going. I think that's the important bit. Trying to hit some level spikes is going to be important for the Puck and Mars. And just go from there. Masaros saving up for the blink. They have made their way bot instead. He could try to catch out Lun here.
Well, there's a bit of a scan out behind the tier 1 tower, but that is not the location that Motivate are coming in from. Q does show in the lane, but he was already there to begin with. Lun, try and run, set 0, does spot him out, but in the end, without your Mars initiating, you are not going to have the lockdown. And that kind of goes back to the point you made during the draft. They are kind of very low on lockdown on the side of Motivate.Trust. So if you don't have Masaros or Fearless initiating, you are kind of just screwed.
Yeah, you need either Mars or Puck, and it just limits your options for the sports to make plays by themselves, although they'll start.
Yeah, I mean, Lun just kind of walked back in to keep farming, and eventually does get punished.
Oh,
Now
wow.
Skill A,
No.
he wants to join the party, but the party's over. At least for him, as now Jackie has haunted in onto the Vengeful Spirit, and they'll find a third. In defense of our Necrophos, he did not see Masaros there. He only saw Set 0 and Q.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's just that, you know, there would be a reason why the Undying zooms in like that, and that would be a core follow-up. So maybe underestimating Motivate.Trust just a bit, playing a bit greedy, holding that lane, and Motivate.Trust gets 2 kills for free, backs off, and this is what they need to do. Just keep cycling back and forth with that haunt cooldown. Jackie has to be a bit careful here, though. He's a bit forward, but they don't manage to spot him out. They will go for the tier 1 push. They've got the numbers to sustain that. You do have the Reaper's Sight if someone jumps in, so as long as Lun protects himself, they can kind of look for the counterplay if any sort of defense comes in.
Well, Skill A just going to keep breaking down the tree line, just making sure nobody's around, just trying to hide and initiate as YG. They'll keep up this tier 1 tower push down to the bot lane. Same thing happening at the top lane though. Masaros, slowly but surely getting the job done. Everybody else from Motivate just securing their own farm up. You've got to give props to YG. They've done a great job thus far of keeping their cores at the top of the net worth. And well, now young PH, he's going to go for a smoke up with Zorain. Where are we headed though? Who are we going to find?
Dire's top tower has fallen.
You see Q down at the bot lane, but he's not quite the target you want to initiate on if you can avoid it. Because they'd much rather find the Puck or Jackie on the Spectre. So you've got the Reaper's Sight, so you can easily burst either down, but neither one going to show up on the map, so they are kind of just stuck waiting out the smoke to expire, and Lun, he'll just go back to farming in the mid lane anyway.
Yeah, they're still clumped up here on YG's side, so they could force the issue mid. Side of Motivate.Trust can go for the defense. They do not have Haunt for minutes. It's going to be harder for Jack to come in, but they will have the Blink on Masaros flying out. So it's almost time for Motivate.Trust to start looking for their own clump up once more, looking to force that aggression out. YG, with this kind of movement though, they're not working the map very efficiently. A lot of them are stuck in the bot jungle. There are only so many camps for them to clear out. Only Lun's using the lane, and that is mid, so it's a short lane as well, which with not much leeway and access to camps, and that is slowing down the pace just a tad.
Arena down with a tombstone, but a nice swap out from Zorain to save the day, or has he? They've got the Dream Call off anyway, so Lun, he's going to get dropped immediately as now. Well, they've got Skill A controlled up. They'll find another. I think one thing you can really give credit to Motivate for is how quickly they're rotating. It feels like you get an initiation off and it just won't matter because Motivate, they're always there in time.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Yeah, they're playing this 5-man really well. It's where their lineup excels at. Their team fight, their AoE control, and area denial is very strong. So as long as they stick together as 4, have the Haunt ready, they can take almost any fight. And for YG, they don't have that same AoE control. They do have some area denial with Wukongs, but the early impact of it isn't particularly amazing against the magic damage Motivate.Trust has at this point. They're going to need a lot more on their Monkey King, I think, to feel confident in some of these engagements. And How is saving up for a Maelstrom. I think he's going to need a fast BKB. They doubled smoke on YG. I believe they popped 2 smoke, so not wasting a bit of resources, but maybe they find a kill here.
Yeah, absolutely. Zip in, Silence is there with the Orchid. However, Soul Rip is out, but it's not going to matter. They'll find Q and they might find another. Set 0 does drop, so a 2-for-0 trade, and with that they can go after that mid-tier 1 tower. Really fantastic news here for YG. You caught out the double smoke, John, but it has been a rather stressful situation for YG, so you can't quite blame them. Smoking is expensive though, wouldn't recommend it.
Certainly yes, and they do manage to clear out the tier 1 mid, so in the end it sort of pays off.
Uh-oh.
Although,
Lun, he does end up juking out the spear though, and the Ghost Scepter is there. They even got the Haunt forced out. Jackie, he's going to come in. But where's your lockdown? Fearless, he gets silenced immediately as he makes the jump in. He'll get the Yules off, but now young PH wants to move in, but no, the silence is there in time. The Reaper Scythe on Masaros, but it's not enough. He does barely survive. And this trade is not looking great for YGs. They've lost 3 already, and they might lose a 4th. As Skillay will eventually die to the Spirit Vessel charge, and Hal's been left behind. He's going to try and TP up, but the Yule Scepter is going to be there from Fearless in time. Hal, he'll try to fight, but there's no way. In fact, don't tell me they found another, because Zorain just brought back, I believe. He's going right back to the graveyard, John. Very bad news here for YG as they get completely wiped. And that mid-tier 1 tower is more than open now for Motivate.Trust.
Yeah, it looked really messy for Motivate.Trust. Like, they miss Arena, they haunt really far forward on Jackie. Doesn't matter to make it work. I think the early swap to save Lun was unnecessary, almost, and without that swap later on, as the fight dragged on, they lacked some saving tools to ensure that they managed to take it, and they just get punished for that long fight. Again, when you think about Wukong's, it's not at the point where it's massive yet. The follow for that control isn't quite there.
Zip in, but this could be dangerous. Masaros, he's there with the Spear in time and does end up picking up the Storm, but do they have the silence follow-up? Not quite, but they will save the life of Qers now. They'll make the chase down onto the Earth Spirit and Skillay. He's going to be forced to kind of sacrifice himself to make sure the Storm does survive. Young PH, I mean, even with the Orchid up, it's just not proving to be enough. In fact, Arena is down, but Masaros off with the spear. I do like the anticipation for the Primal Spring, but unfortunately he misses the spear once again.
Again, I still like seeing Motivate.Trust play this aggressive. Again, with the Ags up as well on Jackie now, you've got the Shadow Step up, so you can just pop in any time in 40 seconds, keep going for the plays. It's still not as good as 30, but, you know, 40 is a lot shorter than 160, so more uptime there for the aggression of Motivate.Trust as they do go for another smoke play.
Zorain, he might be there to break the smoke, so it won't be the worst kill in the world if you do end up losing the Venge. However, they might find young PH instead. He does get an Arcane Rune up. Masaros, he's going to get the vision. Young PH, he'll zip right in after Q, but no, they actually found Lun instead. So not quite finding the Storm. They will indeed still get the Necrophos, though. Jackie does pick up the kill. He's got the Ags up. And he'll motivate. They haven't really got the draft for the Roshan yet, but it won't matter because they're controlling pretty much the whole map.
Is under attack.
Yeah. Look at the vision game Motivate has. They have this deep ward behind the tier 2. They've got 2 ramp wards, watching the entrances of the top jungle. They've just got all the information they need to keep playing aggressive. And YG just don't have the D wards yet. They need to get control back in their top jungle. If not, they need to play bot. Playing that bot jungle. It's completely dark for both sides. It's the safest spot to farm.
That's a dangerous zip in from young PH, and he gets coiled immediately into his death, I believe, as he does finally drop a Q. He will not go down. He gets the time lapse off in time. Skillay's going to try and run, but they get the vision. Oh, what a disaster. Beautiful bait from Q. As he did have Fearless right behind him, waiting with the Dream Coil the whole time.
Yeah, they've been really patient and really on point with using the Weaver as bait. Now they go into that Rosh. Not the fastest Rosh, but when you drop the Tombstone, have the zombies kind of cop the hits, it's still a pretty fast process. The scan is there to cut them off, but without the Storm to zip in, they don't really have counterplay. That's the first Roshan going the way of Jackie. Aegis on Spectre. That's such a scary prospect, because you melt through her first life, you're already low from dispersion. You're not going to handle her second life as well.
No, absolutely
YG's got to... They've got to find a way to reel it back in here. And we are seeing how he is trying to rush to BKB. It's a slow process. Like, he needs that BKB. Once you have that, maybe you can hold an arena up.
Skillay. Yeah, he gets swapped in. Zorain's just like, screw you, buddy. I'm out of here. And I think Skillay is... No, he is set to fall. He tries to roll, and now the Dream Coil will catch the other two on the backside. Just beautiful play here from Motivate. And maybe a bit of panicking from YG. So I really don't believe that swap was very worthwhile.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple of times from YG now, where the swap usage hasn't been the most effective, and I think that's just very important for this lineup in YG. Their control outside of swap and the magic missile is really on the Earth Spirit, and I guess you could consider the Storm and Vortex, but we haven't seen Young PH get that good angle because of the instant silences Motivate.Trust has. Perhaps once you get the Ags up on the Storm, you can start to use that swap more defensively and rely on your Storm to jump in. But until that point, it's a long ways off, as Young PH is still saving for the BKB. I think you will have to really be patient with the swaps and look for better angles. And if you get caught out and die, you kind of just have to cop it for the team here.
I mean, I understand why he's doing it, but yeah, it's too risky at this stage. You'd rather kind of re-engage with the Earth Spirit if you can. Motivate. Smoking up again. They've got the arena in 1 second, and Young PH would be a fantastic target if they could find him. But he will be able to get away, at least for now. Though I say that, he's very low on mana. Massaros ends up seeing Lun. That's probably an even better target, quite frankly. As Lun's going to drop, Jackie takes another kill with the Shadow Step. I suppose with the Aegis up, you can't really hope to fight into Motivate. But YG, they have a timing they needed to hit. This is kind of the timing right now. It's just not working out, and I don't think it gets easier during the late game as Fearless jumps in. Great coil out. They've locked down both of them, and Hao is just melting to the damage of Jackie.
Oh, man. Like, the aggression from Motivate.Trust. After that D-Wards run at the bot, they just immediately smoke up after killing up Lun. Head top. Again, it's the vision game. Top jungle's entirely encapsulated by their wards. 3 wards watching every entrance. You're just not safe in the top jungle. The bot jungle is completely open, but YG hasn't been able to reach in. I think if they are going to play this farming game, bot's your best bet. You just kind of have to accept that you're taking that risk in an area you don't fully control, but there's no vision. And I think that's, again, your best shot at building up in that monkey, building up in your storm here.
Absolutely. Could be a bit of a smoke up here from YGs. They do group up in that mid lane.
Dire's top tower.
And obviously they understand Motivate is kind of occupying their jungle right now, as Jackie does show at the top lane, but no, they're going to come in. After Zorain on the Venge. Nice easy pick up. And it's just that Shadow Step every single time. Again, even with the nerfs, John, I think this ability is a bit too strong, as the zip in is there from Young PH. He will get the TP up in time. But my goodness, Fearless, he was looking for the cancellation. Just unable to break the gap.
Oh,
Fear, Massaros. Let's find Lun. They do have the coil, so Lun looks like he's going down once again on the Necrophos. Just no chance of survival for him. And then onto the tier 3 towers. This is 24 minutes into the game. They will eventually respect YG and back off, but with a 14k net worth advantage, it doesn't seem like Motivate.Trust are under any kind of stress.
No, I think they've managed to ride through the toughest part of the game. The early game was really where things could have been rocky for them. It's just that YG couldn't pull off the lanes they wanted to. The Necrophos lane fell flat. Great job from Setzer putting his body forward once more to prevent the Necrophos from just controlling out the Spectre. The side of YG still have pretty decent high ground hold with the Wukongs, and they still have the threat of the Reapers. They do manage to use it, and they will smoke up. They're going to try to go hunting here.
Yeah, absolutely. Problem is, it might be broken by Q on the Weaver, who is quite good at breaking smokes if YG aren't too careful. They do wrap around the long way, but who are they going to really find here? So they could try to sneak from the backside and try to force a big team fight and Motivate, but you've got that Shadow Step, so Jackie's always going to be there, and now you've got the Haunt back up as well. So the team fight becomes infinitely harder against Motivate.Trust. And speaking of the Devils, now they've smoked up as full. Fearless looking to maybe bait out here, but to travel in, and coils out. They've got Young PH again. Skill lay, can they save him? Coil's about to wear off, but the Yule Scepter's there in time, and eventually they'll get him. In fact, in the backside, Massaros, he's got Zorain, he's got Skill lay. They'll take them both down. And the game only gets rougher and rougher as Motivate.Trust They just won't slow down in this aggression.
No? Like, they basically ride through the roughest part of the game. They're really strong now, 17k lead. They've slowed down the Storm, they've slowed down the Monkey King. And, again, it's not a lineup you expect to really get control of a Storm this way, but they've just been really good with having Fearless run in, get the silence off, play with the Yules, play with the Dream Coil, and just commit onto that one hero that you're just not able to do much on the Storm. He's still trying to save up for the BKB, but young PH is still not that close. He needs more time. Maybe once that BKB's up, you can have a little bit more opportunities to fight, but it does feel like you've lost a little bit too much early on, and you're kind of relying on Motivate.Trust to maybe make a slip up here. They even have the Aeon Disc up on Fearless now, so even if you do catch this puck out, she can just bail herself out easy.
You're going to get the vision. Jack is in with the Shadow Step once again. Skillay, he's going to get swapped out this time. Zorain is going to save, but it will cost him his own life, as now the coil is out onto Lun. He can't break the leash, and he will just get bursted down so darn quick, as now young PH, he'll zip through, but where is your damage? Where's your lockdown? None of it's there. Motivate.Trust, they're just going to walk away scot-free. They even force a buyback out of Lun.
Yep, they don't really lose anything for that. They do have an Aeon Disc charge used on Fearless, but no big deal. They are still actually playing aggressive here.
You've still got Arena up. Massaros doesn't even need it, as he will land a spear out onto Skill Lane. They'll be able to secure another kill, in fact. Did hear a Shadow Step coming in from Jackie, but there's no real need for him to actually step his way into that fight. Motivate, I mean, it's a 21k net worth lead now, John. It's looking very rough for YG. What can they really do to bring this game back?
Play high ground defense, threaten with Wukongs, save up for the BKB on your Storm. Try to look for a Reaper's target. At this point, even using Reaper as lockdown, that Reaper sight, rather than a burst tool, might benefit you, because we just haven't seen the Reaper sight used at all past that one kill bot. I think they're going to need it. The BKB is up and running on a young PH, so they do have a hero they can kind of pivot off of with the initiation, with the front line. They just need to find the right target. Issue there is Motivate.Trust has been sticking as 3 or 4 heroes at a time. They haven't really split up on the supports and on the Mars. So finding that angle is very difficult for the side of YG.
Oh, jump in again. Nice spear initiation there from Massaros. Well, young PH, he's going to survive thanks to the boundless strike out from Hell. And now the Wukong's command is there. Jackie, he actually does get torn apart by Lun. The Reaper Scythe proving to be enough. Q still having a look around for young PH as now the coil comes out. Fearless, he locks them down, but they are starting to drop like flies. Or are they? Zorain and Set Zero, they buy back. They're onto Hal on that Monkey King. They might just have enough damage, but Massaros, he's out of damage. He needs to back off and kite. Q, he's going to drop Fearless. He'll come back in. They do eventually pick off Hal, but now they need a way out of there. Massaros, he'll get Vortex back by young PH. And Fearless eventually does get silenced up. Where's the follow-up, though? Yeah, it'll be there, surely. Yules, phase shift, blink away, orb. Oh, he's actually going to make it. Skill A, how far are we chasing, sir? No, he's out of boulders, so he can't go much further. In the end, still a very good team fight for YG. And that was a huge net worth swing. About 4.5k going their way.
That's massive. Really great fight for YG. And again, they played off the back of that BKB on young PH. The swap saving him just in time. Very good swap coming through this time from Zorain, making up for the earlier shenanigans for YG. So they do manage to keep themselves in the game. You know, they're still safe here. High ground hasn't been pierced. Tier 3 towers still stand. Bot lane still has up to the tier 1 for defense. So they're starting to get something back on the map. They're starting to build up a little bit more. I think the next step is just getting your Monkey King pretty fat, and perhaps, after the Kaya on young PH, just rushing an Ags. Once you've got AoE Vortex, it becomes a lot easier to pin people in the Wukongs and just force the fight your way. Still, Motivate.Trust straight into the Roshan, second Rosh of the game. Aegis Shard ready to go. Inside of YG just has no info about it.
It's very difficult, and I think this is almost the difference in experience between the two teams, right? Like Motivate, they understand how freely they can just kind of walk in and take the Roshan, and YG, they eventually realize it's happening, but the smoke comes out way too late. And hell, even young PH pops a DD rune in preparation. But it amounts to nothing. I mean, they could still find something out of this. Skill A. Gonna roll right through, but that's a very risky roll to make because he was trying to get some deep wards out, but a great shadow step in. Jackie, he blocks the roll. That's some great timing there from our Spectre. And no wards will be placed there from Skill A.
And that kill helps Jackie accelerate towards his Scotty timing. Just has to courier on standby in the secret shop, and that's it. So he's got the Scotty up. He's going to have even more stats to play with, more dispersion damage flying through. And I think that makes it harder for YG to fully commit. Like, they still have some ways of playing here. They still have that Reaper's Sight, which can scale in damage up against the high HP of that spec. But they're going to have to play it perfectly. And I think the big issue for YG is that their execution has to be on point. Like, absolutely close to perfection to pull off what we had last time. And for Motivate.Trust, they've got to respect the fact that YG still has ways of counterplaying. Not going to be any defense for the last outer towers, though. Tier 2 just going to be given on that bot lane. So the side of YG just kind of respecting that and just hoping to play high ground now.
It just becomes so much more difficult, though, John. You've got the Axe time-lapse, you've got the Axe dream coil. I have Skadi on Jackie, along with the Aegis, mind you. And it's already hard enough to kill him off with the Reaper's Scythe. But you kind of need the Reapers for the secondary kill after the Aegis expires, I think, as young PH is going to zip right through, but Fearless again is having a look around trying to find him, and now the arena's down. Masseros, he does catch out 3. Zorain gets in there somehow. He kind of made his way in. I think it was a bit of a miss-swap. And now they found the Earth Spirit. They've got the Venge. They've got Lund down. Skill A, he's going to commit the buyback, but it's 3v5. He swapped him out, but it didn't get him out of the arena. As now, young PH is going to get jumped. Very low on mana, and Jackie wants to continue the chase, but with the Wukong's command, they'll hold Jackie down for a while, but the spear up from Masseros. That'll be surely just your tier 3, probably even a Rax gone. As you've still got the Aegis up here on Jackie, but I suppose he can always just shadow step in, and Fearless, he does finally catch him. Or maybe not, because the spear does not end up landing.
It's really risky from young PH. How?
He's going to go for a Boundless. They just need to slow this down somehow. In the end, there's just nothing they can do. 5v3 against an Aegis as well. It just makes it kind of impossible.
Yeah, and they're just going to keep going. Motivate.Trust, no reason to back off. Arena's going to be up in 10. They can just keep forcing these fights out, and YG just, again, it's down to a perfect execution. It's a lot harder for them to find that opening here.
Swap onto set 0. He's an Undying, though. He's not going to mind. He'll drop the Tombstone and end up going down. They've got Zorain in response. Now the arena and the spear is out. Q, he will not die to the Reaper's Scythe either. It's just not enough. Nothing's going the way of YG. As now Hal gets jumped. Masseros, he'll land the spear in the end. They'll even have the coil for Skill A. Hal, he's going to get the Wukongs off. They will at least find maybe the first life of Jackie, and they will. Skill, rather young PH. He's jumping to the backside. He's got Masseros, but he can't get the kill. Time-lapse is there in time. Young PH, he's going to have to zip out. And I suppose on the brighter side, they saved the mid-racks, the mid-tier 3 tower, but that's about all they're saving.
Yeah, they hold on to the lane of racks, which in a way is, I guess, a successful defense. They managed to force Aegis away. They buy more time for them to try to build up and hit the spike. And they give themselves, more time to work this thing around. The side of YG, again, they have to be so patient with their spell use. You have to commit the site smoothly as a team. You kind of want to... I think the Weaver was the right target, though. Like, you do want to take Q out, but you need to have enough damage to do so, and by yourself as a Necrophos, you're just not there with the itemization here. So you need some backup in hunting down Q. Q is pretty forward here, though.
He is, but it's only Zorain really around. We'll scrap that. Hal is around as well. Shadow Step, it will be committed. And there you go. He does commit all the way. Zorain is going to get dropped here by Jackie. Masseros even having a look around to see if he can find Hal in the tree line, but eventually just kind of leave that be, and He's still trying to abuse the invis rune. Young PH. Gonna zip very far, but already had the zip TP going, so he'll be just fine.
Yeah. They're just trying to, again, keep stalling out here in YG, keep trying to build up some farm. How is trying to hit that Silver Edge now for additional damage. Coming through, pretty nice break as well onto the Spectre. So that could be impactful once that's farmed up. It's still a ways off though. It's going to take a little bit more time for How to get that gold up and to have buyback running. So a lot more time needed here for YG. Young PH trying to go for, it looks like a Bloodstone into Ags. I think you just kind of want the Ags straight up, the Octarine instead. I think the Ags might be higher impact, again giving you more control. Having that AoE Vortex not counteracted, at least you don't need to worry about vortexing yourself, as we've seen happen to him a couple times now. But again, that build-up's also slow.
Arena! Masaros, he's got Lan Zorain. He swapped earlier on, but it's not going to matter. They were trying to catch our set 0, and now Zorain, he's going to drop as a second. Terrible news once again, and to make matters worse, Masaros has a refresher orb, so he has another arena available right now. And they're going to make the jump in. Lan just gets bursted down. Immediate dieback on the Necrophos. And Motivate.Trust looking for more as well. How he actually gets away from Masaros, so the arena means nothing. And now Jackie does actually get jumped. He's dropping low, but the time lapse is going to save the day, at least for now, as Jackie. He will eventually go down. Pretty big pick off here for YG. But in the end, it's not going to prove to be enough, I don't think, as Skill Lane does go down. Nice juke out with the Boundless Strike there from Hal. It does save the mid-racks. They lose the tier 3, but more time to buy here for Hal to farm up on this Monkey King.
And they've got some anti-toll.
Just forcing out the BKB from Masaros. You get what you can right now.
Yeah, just trying to stall the game. You do have ways of handling that spec, right? Like, you isolate them, you just kind of force the entire team away, and you can do damage, especially with how finishing up that Silver Edge. So the break mechanics there, Spectre's a lot easier, less tanky to kind of deal with, and just kind of burst down. I think that's something Motivate.Trust has to respect now. They have to kind of protect Jackie as much as they can. Even with the time lapse, like he was still stuck in the rock in the hard place, although...
A nice little phase shift dodge there. In fact, he might turn around now. Fearless has coil up in 1. How is around though. Boundless Strike is going to land, but they do have enough time. The time lapse was not out from Q to save the day, so a great pick up there from Hal. That'll allow them a bit more space in the map as they can take the outpost back and get a bit of farm going for themselves. It just seems to be all about buying time for Hal. Or even just young PH on the Storm. Needs a bit more farm. He's already working towards that Aghanim Scepter. However, as I say that, they have caught out to Masaros. It's because a great arena spear. In fact, they found another Lun. He's going to try and run, but the nullifier's there from Jackie. Ghost form will come out eventually. TP away. It's not going to matter.
It could have been nice. It's just that Motivate.Trust was positioning by the Roche. They kind of wanted to camp out that respawn. He managed to punish. Really great double spear coming out onto the Monkey King, and he didn't manage to really use his protection. He couldn't use the BKB. Caught out. Does have buyback, so it's not the end of the world for YG, but they might have to commit the buyback earlier than they'd like to here to stop the push.
I mean, they're already 32k behind. What's one buyback? Zorain hanging around, has the swap up. They'll force the glyph out, Motivate. They don't have an Aegis to rely on this time around, but it won't really matter too much. They make the jump in. Zorain, he's just going to get shredded by the illusions. Jackie jumps in, pops the Manta, secures the kill, and just backs off. Roll, they're going to try on to the Undying, but Setsuru, he has the Aeon Disc up, so he's not going anywhere. He drops the Tombstone, hangs around, Spectral Dagger through, young PH still trying onto this Undying, but he's just not dying. He'll just walk out of there.
Well, this will work.
Yeah.
Masaros.
He managed to...
Arena, spear off the mark though, so that'll allow the roll out. But Jackie, with the arena down, understands he can actually just take down this melee barracks. How far is he willing to push this? Oh, that's a great dream coil again! And Masros, he's got the spear around. They've snapped the coil and they've got the storm down. Hal, he does at least find something for their trouble, but it's only going to be set 0. In fact, Fearless, he tried to be sneaky and get that gem back. Wasn't able to quite snag it. They do find that top racks, though.
They managed to, again, start clearing out more objectives. It's taking a lot of commitment from Motivate.Trust, even with this network lead, to find these wins. YG's making it as hard as possible, so they're holding on really well in YG, all things considered. Down to 1 set of racks, no tier 3 to protect. They will go for a smoke play. They know Roche is probably up. They're going to have to force that fight there.
And they go. Buyback is there from Young PH. They can't really afford to let this Roshan go for free. The Aghanim Scepter Blessing as well just makes it that much juicier for Motivate as YG try to move in. Masros, he's there. Immediate spear away onto the monkey. Now, Horn back in. They want to try and force the fight. That's a massive coil out. They've caught 3 targets. And they're all breaking the leash. Zorain, he's going to be swapped out of there, but does it even matter? Skill lay, a big balance strike from Hell, but it just won't matter in the end as they just surround the side of YG. And it happens so darn quick. Young PH does at least manage to get himself out for now, but he's out of mana. Spirit Vessel's there. Young PH, no, he won't even get to the high ground. And this game 1 looks to be very over now as Motivate can secure the Megas, and quite frankly, they could probably just go for the tier 4 towers. There is no buybacks available.
Respecting the defense, how?
Gonna move in. This will be the final defense they have for the time lapse. Is there again? Hal, he's gonna drop. The GG's call. They've had enough. And Motivate.Trust. I mean, props to YG for dragging the game out to 42.5 minutes. But it was quite a dominant affair here from Motivate.
It certainly was. I think YG this time around, they had the right idea with their draft, right? They saw some weaknesses, they saw a lack of control outside of the puck silence and the spear, so they go for that Storm Spirit, and it felt like it should have been a good game coming out from Young PH. But Fearless just dances around a matchup, he figures out what he needs to do to get much more activity going out from Motivate.Trust. The biggest issue for YG was that they couldn't slow down Jackie's lane. Like, just that one creep pull from Skill Lay in the first creep wave, he tried to go for a pull, exposed Lun long enough that he just died. And that just set the tempo for that entire lane. They could not get that lead you want in Necrophos. They couldn't hit a very fast level 6 timing. Once the 6 was up, the Reaper's Sight, they went for 1 gank on bot, and then it just kind of faded away until the late game. I think with this kind of lineup for YG, they need to be a bit more aggressive, and they need to play around Sight and hunt Jackie down. But Motivate.Trust just never gave them that opening, and they managed to really protect that Spectre pick.
Fair enough, John. We are going to head into game number 2 very soon after a short 10-minute break. And yeah, right after that 10-minute break, we'll be back to see what YG try to change up here against Motivate.Trust for that game 2. See you all again very soon.